again.
All right. Hello, everybody. Uh, hello, everyone, and welcome. Um, Let me get rid of this. I don't need that for something like this. All right. So, today we are going to be doing another news kind of review, I guess. Um, News coverage, and as usual, I'm going to try to keep this as unbiased as possible. So it's going to be short and quick and reporting on the facts only. And this time, we upped the production a little bit. We have a PowerPoint. So hopefully, this makes it easier to keep track with, as well as uh, easier to understand what I'm saying and everything. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. We have some interesting topics this week. Uh, Starting off, we have Breonna Taylor. So, for those of you who don't know, Breonna Taylor was black. Actually, everyone already knows the story of Breonna Taylor. What happened is a grand jury has indicted one of three cops for wanton endangerment, which doesn't even mean that the cop that was indicted was charged for the shooting of Breonna Taylor, but was charged because the officer had shot shots, or shot shots into a neighboring apartment. So he that officer is charged with 3 counts of wanton endangerment, uh, and I believe I need to double check this real quick, but I believe it's carries out a max sentence of 5 years per uh, case. So he faces a max of 15 years in jail. Uh, After the verdict was announced, major protests erupted throughout the country, with 2 officers being shot, multiple protesters arrested, and women charged with hit and runs in different cities. So there's 2 cases specifically that I'm talking about here. One is in Buffalo, where protest was happening, and a woman drove through the protest and hit 2 people. And then the other one happened in Yorba Linda, where counter protests were happening. So Trump supporters were uh, eh, Trump supporters versus Breonna Taylor supporters, and BLM, not Breonna Taylor supporters, but BLM supporters. So, God, I'm I'm too tired for this. Sorry. Let me re-say that. So, uh, you have BLM protests happening, and then you have counter protests by Trump supporters happening. BLM vehicle ran into a crowd of Trump supporters during that one. There. Sorry. Doing this live is actually harder than I expected. Anyways, moving on to the next topic, we have the Paris stabbing, which resulted in 2 people being injured, and the suspect is an 18-year-old man of Pakistani origin. Uh, this was also happening during the trial for 14 people who were accused of helping the original Charlie Hebdo attack. And also, as per usual, I'm sorry about any mispronunciations. Just know I'm trying my best here. Um, but if you don't know what happened during the original Charlie Hebdo attack, quick overview. Back in 2015, um, two jihadist gunmen stormed the Charlie Hebdo offices, which is basically a not just satire, but political and satire comic slash news place. And the reason why they attacked Charlie Hebdo was because they depicted the Prophet Muhammad, which it goes against Islamic teachings. So they were upset by this, and the radical jihadist terrorists took it into their own hands and stormed into the Charlie Hebdo building, killing and injuring, I forget the exact death toll off of the top of my head, but a lot of people. I know at least 4 political cartoonists were killed in that attack, and I believe the total, I don't want to say anything because I'm not sure if it's factual or not because of the fact that I forgot the death count. But that's just a quick overview of that. So it comes at a time of heightened security during in France, especially since it's been 5 years since the original Charlie Hebdo attack happened, and I think that's all. That's all I want to say about this topic. Otherwise, it will start getting into opinions and everything else. I do not want that to happen. The next topic we have is a South Korean official who may or may not have been trying to defect, was killed by North Korea. So a South Korean official who was in his patrol boat may or may not have been possibly trying to defect. He was a father of 2, but was going through divorce proceedings and was having some financial trouble. He was killed by North Korean military in North Korean waters. And according to the South, his body was also burned, but the North denies this, saying that they just burned the flotation device that the South Korean official was using. And something interesting about this is that Mr. Kim himself offered an apology to the South, which is extremely rare for cases like this, or just in general, saying that he felt sorry, and well, that's what an apology is, but yeah, saying that he felt sorry, and also the Blue House, which is the South Korean equivalent of the White House, basically, said that or revealed letters between the South and North, showing that they've still been in communication despite the pandemic and everything. And that's all I want to say about this topic before moving on. The next topic we have is a London police officer who was shot and killed while taking a suspect into custody. The suspect then is believed to have shot himself and is still alive but is in critical condition. So the as for actual description of the suspect or whatever, because of the way the UK judicial system works, we do not know who the suspect is or anything about the suspect. And then trying to think if there's anything else I want to mention without going into any political opinions. No, I think that's all I'll say for this topic. The next topic, this is slightly old news, but it's still kind of developing. Israel has normalized relations with the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain, which, along with Jordan and a couple other Middle Eastern countries, are the only countries to have normal relations with Israel. So This was also brokered by the USA and is seen as a diplomatic victory for Donald Trump. Um, this is actually an extremely interesting development because this means that Israel is slowly no longer becoming just an isolated country in the Middle East. They are now starting to have relations. And the reasons behind this is Israel, UAE, all the other Middle Eastern countries are all fearful of Iran. So initially, the other Middle Eastern countries were hesitant to formalize relations with Israel because of backing uh, Palestinians and also just tensions with Israel to begin with. So now the UAE, Bahrain, and possibly other countries may follow suit, are more fearful of Iran than caring. Caring is the wrong word here. I'm not sure how I want to describe it, but I'll just use caring for now, even though it's the wrong word, about the Palestinians, I guess. They hope that by brokering a deal with Israel, this may lead to Palestinian peace, but the Palestinians themselves feel betrayed by the UAE and are basically begging other countries not to follow suit with this. But we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. Um, this does add another strategic headache for Iran because now the UAE and Bahrain and also what other Middle Eastern countries may follow suit are now starting to work together with Israel, uh, which means they'll have strategic and military ties as well as just economic. And that is going to cause a big headache for Iran, which is trying to expand its own sphere of influence in places such as Syria. So, this is an interesting development, and we'll go ahead, or we'll just have to wait and see if more countries follow suit or if they're going to stay and try and back the Palestinians. Moving on, this is actually developing news, and one of the reasons why I'm doing this so early in the morning, I was going to do this later today, but I woke up to a news alert at around 3:30 in the morning. By the way, it's 4:30 right now, currently. So, sorry. But I woke up to a news alert, and there are currently clashes in Armenia. Oh gosh, I'm so going to mispronounce this, but Armenia and Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan. I'm so sorry. That was complete butcher. Oh, sorry. What the hell was that? Okay, sorry. But there's a border dispute happening between Armenia and I'm just gonna say AZ because I'm going to butcher it every time. So between Armenia and AZ over the Nagorno Karabakh region. Both sides have reported civilian casualties, and Russia has called for an immediate ceasefire. What else do you want to say? Oh, at least one AZ helicopter has been shot down by Armenia. And some backstory to this, the Nagorno Karabakh region is held by Azerbaijan, but is home to ethnic Armenians. And the two sides have basically been at a stalemate since 1994 ceasefire. But now tensions have been flaring up again in recent months, and this is just the most recent clash. Both sides are accusing the other of starting it first. With Armenia saying that AZ started this, and then AZ saying that Armenia started it. So, you know, he said, she said. But uh, both countries were originally part of the Soviet Union until it collapsed, and that's why Russia is calling for an immediate ceasefire, because they're the country that has the strongest influence over those two countries. Um, right. An interesting comparison that you could make for this would be with Ukraine and Crimea, but uh, the only reason why I say that was actually ignore that. Ignore that. I was just kind of thinking that off the top of my head, but now that I'm thinking about it more, I don't want to actually make that comparison right now. Um, that without thinking about it more and expanding on that topic. Um, but that is all I want to say about this. And moving on to the last topic we have today is SCOTUS. So Trump has picked Amy Coney Barrett to replace RBG, and this will be the third Supreme Court justice picked by Trump if confirmed. However, not necessarily surprisingly, but that is not the most amount of nominees by one president in American history. And then as for Amy Coney Barrett herself, she is a devout Catholic who is against abortion, and um, she hasn't spoken out herself as far as I could find, but it has been inferred that she is also against LGBT rights, but like I said, that is only inferred. As far as I can tell, she herself has not spoken out about the issue. But I don't want to go into any political opinions. So this is going to be a tricky position for the Democrats, because they can't exactly do anything to prevent Trump from or not Trump, but to prevent Republicans in the Senate from confirming Amy Coney Barrett, because the Republicans have a 53 majority. So, if you don't know anything about American politics, the Senate is what confirms SCOTUS nominee, and it has 100 seats in it, and it's controlled by two main parties, the Republicans and Democrats. Republicans hold a majority of 53. You only need a majority of 51 to confirm a SCOTUS nominee, which serves a lifetime appointment. So, as I was saying, Democrats can't exactly do anything to stop this, and it's kind of obvious that they know that too. And if you have been watching the news, you have seen, or you may have seen, that Democrats have said that obviously they're against this move because of what happened in 2016 when the Republicans refused to confirm President Obama's confirmation, or even have hearings about the SCOTUS nominee. But you have also heard Democrats say that if they win the election, or some, not all, but you've heard some Democrats say that if they win the election, they should stack the Supreme Court, which might end up backfiring on them. Right now, it appears to be that they are just trying to figure out some way to try and get popular opinion to go against this nomination, which it already is. At least right now, according to a couple polls, over 60% of U.S. adults say that the vacancy should not be filled until after the presidential election. But that's getting too much into political opinions there. I'm sorry, that's my bad. Just reporting on the facts here. Once again, Trump is picking Amy Coney Barrett to replace RBG, and the Senate hearings are going to start this upcoming week. So this is going to be, we live in an interesting time, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. This is only my second time doing it. I feel like this is better than the first time, I'd like to say, hopefully. Hopefully the PowerPoint actually made it a little bit easier to follow along with this, and as time goes on, hopefully I'll become a better newscaster, news anchor or whatever, with this, and we'll see. Thank you all for watching. Hope